Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, December 13th. So we have the moon in Leo again all day for pretty much the full day. Now we will see the moon go void, of course, at 10:53 a.m. and will not be locking into Virgo energy until tomorrow morning, which makes for a very long, very unstable, very insecure, very fearful, very doubtful day in our emotional realm. When the moon is void, of course, we are not secure within ourselves. We question everything. It does kind of feel like everything is unraveling, everything is falling apart. We do have a tendency to tap into the more negative or not so nice vibrations and frequencies of the sign. And, just to give you a little bit of a visual, Leo energy is the heart and soul of the zodiac. It embodies the pride, the strength, the boldness, the bravery, the courage of the lion. And the downside or shadow element to that is fear, is not being bold, not being brave, not being courageous, is pretty much curling up in a whiny little kitten-like ball, crying over the wounds of our battle scars and not really embodying the strength, if you will, that we often think about of a lion kind of ruling over the jungle. This would be a scared little kitten kind of licking its wounds in the dark pit of a cave, so to speak. And it can make for some very unsettling emotional states, and it can really bring in a lot of not so nice thoughts and not so nice feelings. So we have to be very cautiously aware of that. Now, there are 11 different aspects here today, so another relatively busy day in the cosmos, and 10 of those aspects involve the moon. So the moon, while still very much direct and not void in Leo energy, is going to be making a positive interaction with Neptune. Now, yesterday, we started the day off with the moon making a very uncomfortable aspect to Neptune, which put us in a state of being overwhelmed or overly emotional or hypersensitive or not really able to align with a vision, with a dream, or to trust our intuition at all. It was a very kind of wish-washy, unsettling type of feeling. Well, the moon is making a positive interaction to Neptune this morning, which means that we are essentially gaining strength and aligning to our higher selves, aligning with our intuition, reconnecting with what it is that we want, we need, we desire, what it is that we're passionate about, allowing the lines of creativity to flow very openly and gracefully in our bodies, in our mind space, and really kind of aligning with a vision and a dream for ourselves that makes our heart very, very happy. Now, the moon does make an awkward interaction with Venus, and this is definitely going to put us at odds because there is this overwhelming want, need, and desire to be very emotional, to kind of share and express ourselves outwardly, to tap into new levels of creativity. However, this Venus energy is kind of blocked off from the emotions right now and more focused on what we can physically do, tangibly do, see the productivity in our day-to-day life. Again, Venus is in Capricorn energy, so she is very much the boss bitch energy right now, very much not wanting to dive into the emotional realm, would rather focus on logical, practical actions that we can take to not only wrap up the elements of the past and clean the slate for us in the here and now, so that we can essentially start lending our time, our energy, our emotions, our focus to conjuring up a new vision and a dream for us to manifest as we contemplate the future. The moon is going to sit across from Saturn, the Lord of Karma, ruling over our systems, our foundations, our roles, our responsibilities. And of course, the Leo energy sits across the zodiac wheel from the Aquarian energy that Saturn is currently in. So this is going to make us feel like we're blocked, like we are having a hard time expressing ourselves. We're having a hard time aligning with our vision. We're having a hard time tapping into our creativity. It feels very much like limitations and restrictions are put on us. It feels very much like we're being suffocated by rules, suffocated by to-do lists, suffocated by like obligations in life. It doesn't feel like we're very free. It doesn't feel like we're able to articulate our thoughts and our feelings. It doesn't feel like we are able to just do what our heart wants us to do. It definitely feels like there's a lot of, I'm going to say, pressure being put on us. And it's interesting because at this particular point of not only the day, but the calendar that we're in, it does kind of feel like we're being faced with realizing that some of the dreams that we were hoping to bring to life, some of the goals that we were hoping to reach at this point in the calendar needs a little bit of revision. It does feel like we are being pressurized to realize that we have to adjust our I'm going to say emotions, adjust our plans, adjust our perception. It just feels like we are being detoured, if you will, on being able to really start pouring into what needs to be brought to life as far as our future vision and our future goals go. So it does kind of feel like we're being, just asked to pump the brakes a little bit. And of course, the fire energy of this Leo energy definitely does not want to do that. We want to just go full steam ahead. And Saturn is there just saying, you know what, you need to whoa it up a smash and just realize that you're not permitted to do what you want to do right now because we have other roles, responsibilities, obligations, and commitments that we have to tend to before you can go just bring in your dreams to life. At 10:52, this is the last aspect that the moon in Leo makes before going void, of course, and it is a positive one. It is a trine with the sun. So we get some fire on fire action here with the moon in Leo, the sun in Sag. Again, the moon and the sun coming together anytime, anyway, is a overlap between the past and the future and where they're meeting in this present moment. And what we're realizing right now is, we've gotten some things off of our chest. We've been able to clearly define between our heart and our head what it is that we're okay to kind of release and let go of and surrender to in order to start making advancements in achieving new goals, new dreams, new visions, new ambitions. The sun is shining a bright light in the Sag energy on the future, the possibilities of the future, the lack of limitations, the lack of ceiling, if you will, on what it is that we're able to conjure up as far as a new truth, a new mission, a new purpose, a new dream, a new vision goes. And when the moon and the sun come together, what we get left with is this present moment. And in this present moment, we feel like we have clearly defined what it is that makes us happy, what it is that we are excited about, what it is that we know that we have to pursue from here, a new truth, a new mission, a new purpose. So this is all jiving very well. We're hopped up on all the good feels just in time for the moon to go void, of course. So the rest of the aspects that we're going to cover here today is with the moon being void, which means that there is a lot of exploration here, a lot of shakiness, a lot of fear, a lot of doubts, a lot of insecurities that come up on the back burner of our thoughts and of our emotions as we're being kind of presented with new opportunities for growth. So the sun goes ahead and makes a very positive aspect very shortly after the moon goes void with Uranus, who is retrograde in Taurus energy. And what this is doing is this is kind of showing us where it is that we need to stand very proud, very firmly in our own individual uniqueness. Now, there's this element here, especially with the Leo energy that the moon is in. That's the heart and soul of our individuality, of our uniqueness. Now, this Uranian energy, typically speaking, represents like the collective and where it is that we have a dream and a desire to fit in. And what the sun in Sag, shining a bright light on the possibilities of this new truth, this new exploration, this new adventure, this new mission, this new purpose that we're trying to conjure up in pursuit of, interacting with Uranian energy is trying to kind of shift us, open up our minds, where it is that we have to embody our individualism, our uniqueness, understanding that it is our individual light that contributes to the light of the collective. This is also trying to pressurize us to really open up our heart and soul in recognizing where it is that we do have a need to change. We do have a want, a need, desire to move out of this current situation and the change that is actually needed in order for us to move forward. This is going to be a beautiful energy for us to, I'm going to say, come up with a lot of solutions, see where it is that we can move forward, where it is that we can make a little bit of progress, especially if we're tapping into, I'm going to say, thinking outside of the box, tapping into creative ways of coming up with solutions to some old long-term problems, really testing our ability to see things differently. And it's a beautiful energy to be in at this time because we are on the cusp of kind of like ending contracts and not quite beginning contracts. So there's a lot of exploring what it is that our heart wants, what our head wants, what we actually need. And this particular aspect between the sun and Uranus is just going to show us where it is that there is a unique path for us, that we don't have to follow the crowd, so to speak, and that if we are bold and brave and courageous enough to dance to the beat of our own drum, that we can actually resolve a lot of the issues that we've been stuck on because we've been looking at it from a, I'm going to say, mass mentality perspective instead of a individual perspective. So the moon goes ahead and bumps into Neptune in not the nicest way. And what I would say is that this is the point in time where situations are going to be coming at us in our external realm that we don't really have control over. That's really going to confuse us, make us question everything, bring in a layer of fogginess in our mental planes, fogginess in our heart space, really kind of disconnect us from our heart space and from our higher selves. We're not going to be able to lean into our intuition as much. We're going to be a little bit cluster-effed on our inner realm of not really being able to sort out our thoughts and feelings. Again, when the moon is void, we can expect these types of situations to happen. We aren't going to sit in that funk for too long, though. The void moon in Leo is going to make a positive interaction with Jupiter, who's going to shine a bright light on where it is that we have made some progress over these last couple of days, especially in our heart space and in our emotional realm, where it is that we are constantly pushing the boundaries of being bold and brave and courageous enough to recognize where it is that we do have to kind of stand on our own 2 feet and dance to the beat of our own drum in order for us to align with the blessings that only our own individual efforts, spiritual life lessons, visions, and dreams can actually reward us with. The moon does, though, go ahead and make an awkward interaction with Mercury, who, of course, is in Capricorn energy. And just when we thought we were digging ourselves out of the funk, our heart and our head are now in disagreement once again. And again, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities are coming up. We're questioning everything. We tend to take on a little bit more of a negative Nancy narrative, a Debbie Downer type of narrative at this particular juncture of the moon being void. Mercury being in Capricorn is very serious, very somber anyways. And just having an awkward interaction between our heart and our head is likely going to stir up a lot of negative inner dialogue. We get a little bit of help, though, because the moon, still void, of course, in Leo energy, is going to make a positive interaction with Mars, who, of course, is retrograde in Gemini energy. Gemini energy is the mental plane. It is the mental dialogue. It is the narrative that I just spoke about. And yes, it can be very divided, the good between the bad, the high versus the low. But what we get here, because this is a positive interaction, is reality check in our inner realms where it is that we have a choice. We have a choice in narrative. We have a choice in focus. We have a choice in dialogue. And the moon being in Leo energy is trying to tap into the boldness, the bravery, the courage, the passion, the excitement that we are trying to conjure up for ourselves. And Mars being retrograde in this Gemini energy is helping us to lean towards the part of us that has the positive narrative, that is inspired, that is motivated, that is determined, in order to not let ourselves kind of get drowned out in this negative narrative and build, I'm going to say, break down what we have built in our inner realm and instead align with the more empowering type of narrative and thoughts that we know that we need to have to stay out of the funk. Now, the moon is going to interact with Chiron, the wounded healer, in not the nicest way. And, the moon is void. So we already have, fears and doubts and insecurities coming at us anyways. And Chiron is here to kind of rub salt in the wounds in order for us to be absolutely aware of some of the things that need our attention the most. So this is likely a time when we're going to lose that empowerment energy of the moon interacting with Mars just then. And this is where we try to talk ourselves out of a good thing. This is where we essentially, suck the magic out of our dreams. This is when we beat ourselves down. This is essentially when we curl up in a little ball as the cowardly lion that we are, to lick our wounds and cry in a cave by ourselves. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon making a very awkward interaction with Pluto, the great transformer. Now, let me just say, Pluto has a tendency to come in at the perfect time when we're a little bit down on ourselves and really take us down a trip, down memory lane, if you will, to remind us of our pain and our trauma and our grief and the hurt and the suffering, not to paralyze us, not to, really push us into a downward spiral, but to remind us that in contrast, the situation that we're currently sitting in isn't nearly as deep and dire and dreadful as some of the situations that we've already kind of dug ourselves out of and have overcome in the past. And, Pluto's whole gist is like, hey, let me beat you down so that you can realize that you can build yourself up in a better way. Let's transform this pain into power. Let's transform this darkness into light. Let's just change and make a transformation altogether. So essentially it is, just envision like Pluto walking into this cave and like sitting on a rock next to this cowardly lion who's crying and curled up in a ball and just not embodying the qualities and characteristics of the lion that we are used to. And let's just envision Pluto like giving him all the reasons to curl up in a ball and to continue to cry and to continue to lick the wounds, and then just kind of flip the script and be the motivating cheerleader at the end to remind this cowardly lion that, guess what? This wasn't your worst battle. This isn't the worst time of your life. You still have the jungle to run. You still have the respect of the jungle. You still are the king of the jungle. So whenever you're ready, you can step out of this whiny little kitten stage and resume the place of power over the jungle that is rightfully yours. And that is essentially how we transform our lower vibrational frequencies, the emotions, the thoughts that overcome us in our times of darkness, into a strength, into an inspiration, into a motivation, in order to empower us to boss up, to take control, to literally do what we can to stand in our power and move the furthest away as we can from the darkness that has actually created us.